Hey Daisy, it's Brian over at Showcase Agency. I just want to first of all say thank you so much for taking our quiz. I've got your results right here in front of me. What I want to do is go through your quiz and tell you what programs we're recommending, and then show you the programs. We'll show you the numbers, and then show you also how much income it takes to qualify based on different levels of debt. So I hope you find this helpful. I see that you're a first-time buyer, so we're looking at programs that are for first-time buyers as well as not first-time buyers. You're not eligible for the VA loan. You're looking at Orange County, LA County, Riverside, and San Bernardino. So different programs have different loan limits. So conforming programs, those are also called Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. They have one set of loan limits for each county, and then FHA loans have a different set, or could have a different set for each county. So Orange County, LA County are the same, $822,375. That's the maximum loan amount for conforming and FHA. When you go to Riverside County, it changes. It goes down for conforming to $548,250, and then it goes down for FHA to $477,250. So those are the numbers we have to work within for those types of programs. Do you have any student loans in payment deferral or forbearance? I'll show you how that's how that affects the loan. You're looking for a single family home. That's important because if you were going for a condo, it would have a different, some different requirements. And then primary residence, that's important. That determines the minimum down payment that's allowed. And then how long do you guess you'd keep the home? You're saying maybe 2 to 3 years or less. In that situation, since you're not going to be there 30 years, you may not want a 30-year fixed rate. You may want an adjustable rate. So I put some options in here where you're for your first 7 years it's fixed, and then after that it could adjust. And there's also some fixed options here. You're looking at $3,000. That's going to bring you into about a $615 to $630 purchase price. You've got, and that's going to be okay for FHA and conforming in Orange County, and also over in Riverside and San Bernardino. It's also going to be okay for conforming in Riverside and San Bernardino, but not for FHA. You've got 15% of the purchase price. That is typically conforming. And then excellent credit, that's also usually conforming. So when you have that much down payment and excellent credit, we're almost always going to go with a conforming loan, unless there's something else that we don't know about just yet. Great. So let's do this. I want to show you the mortgage rate seesaw, and then show you your home loan report. All right, Daisy, this is what we call the mortgage rate seesaw. And on almost every loan program with almost any lender, could be a bank or a credit union or a broker, with almost any program that they offer, there's a range of rates available. So it's not like there's just one interest rate. You can usually choose from a lower rate and a higher rate, and then there's interest rates in between. Now you might wonder, why would you choose a higher rate? Well, that's where the seesaw comes in. When you go with a higher rate, of course your payment's higher, but the closing costs are less, so you end up with less money out of pocket. And then if your interest rate goes down, then the money out of pocket goes up. So that's why we call it the interest rate seesaw. And let's go ahead and switch over to your home loan report and take a look at how this seesaw affects your options and how much money you need to bring in, and also how that affects your payment. All right, Daisy, this is your home loan report. And before we get too far into this, I'm going to switch the view. Makes it a little easier for me to show here. Okay. And so what we've got here, let's go to this box that says summary. And you'll see here I've got 4 different home loan programs. These 2 on the end right here are the ARMs, and these 2 right here are fixed. So let's look at the fixed options first. I'm going to look at this option first, okay? So this one's a $615 purchase price, and it's a conforming loan. It's 15% down, and there's an interest rate of 2.625. There's your interest rate, and then there is your payment. So you're wanting to be around $2,800, around $3,000. So what this is going to do is this is going to bring you in under that number. You're right at $2,900, so $2,899. And if you want to see a breakdown of the payment, just go to more info. And here's a breakdown of the payment and a breakdown of your closing costs. So there's your total payment, $2,899. This shows you that $56 is going towards your mortgage insurance. That's required if you don't put at least 80% down. And then there's also homeowners insurance, or called hazard insurance, sometimes called home insurance, and that's $102. And then your most expensive, your biggest expense with your property is always going to be your property taxes, other than major repairs. But your property taxes in this case would be about $640. And there's about $2,099 that's actually going towards the mortgage to pay down the loan and to pay off the interest. There's also an area here for closing cost. So you can see your closing cost, and there's this button here that says fee detail, and this shows you all of your fees. So you've got different fees, like this is in your closing cost. You have the fees that are paid to other parties, such as the lender, the appraiser, the escrow company, the title company, the county where the deed is recorded. So you have all these third parties. You also have what's called prepaids, and prepaids are where you're prepaying for services, or not services, but for insurance or for taxes or for mortgage interest. That's just to set up your loan. And then there's another category in the closing costs called reserves or impounds, and that's to set up some money for your taxes and insurance so that when they come due in the future, you'll have already saved up enough money for them. So you'll see these here is like your tax reserves and your hazard insurance reserves. So there's two of those right here. Now you can go back in here and let's take a look at this other option. Again, it's a $615 purchase price, and also 15% down. But what we did is we increased the interest rate. We took it up to 2.875, and what did that do? That took there's the interest rate. That took the payment up. Now we're almost at $3,000. I missed this on the first one. I'm so sorry about that, Daisy. So the cash out of pocket on that first option is $108,309. That's it right here. Your cash out on your second option is $101,000. So that's where that seesaw comes in. Your payment went up. The first option, the payment's $2,899, and on the second option is $2,966. But the amount of money you have out of pocket went down by about $7,000. Now, if you're not going to stay in the loan for a long time, it's probably a better idea to keep more money in your pocket, because when you buy the rate down, you're not going to get that money back over time unless you stay in the loan long enough, and you're probably not going to stay in it that long. So you're looking for probably not the lowest rate, because you don't want to pay the most in points. Oh, and speaking of points, let's go back to that more info, and let's go back to closing cost. And this is a section called points. Now, what are points? Sometimes they're called discount points, sometimes they're called a buy down. But basically what points do is they buy your interest rate down. So you're paying money in advance to make the interest rate lower. Like I was saying, that can benefit you over the long term, but it may not benefit you in the short term. On these that have that say points, and it's a negative number like these two right here, it's actually not points. It's what's called a credit. It's a lender credit. So when the interest rate goes up, so when the interest rate goes up, your closing costs go down. How does that happen? It happens because you either pay less in points, or you might even get a credit. In this case here, this option, you're getting a $1,150 credit. And this option's an $862 credit. I'm going to leave that highlighted so it's easy for you to find, because there is a link to this. Included is a link to this home loan report. I emailed it to you, and then I also texted it over to you, and then I included it in the description here on YouTube as well. All right, so now let's go back to these other options. This is going to be your first adjustable rate option. It's called a 7-6 ARM. ARM stands for adjustable rate mortgage. 7 is the number of years that the loan is fixed. So it's fixed for 7 years. For 7 years, the rate is 2.125. and it won't go up and it won't go down. But once you get to that 7-year mark, it could adjust. It depends on different factors, and we don't really know where we're going to be, right, in 7 years. But it depends on a few factors, but there's some caps to it so that it doesn't, like blow up and cause problems with your payments. And then there's also, but it could adjust every 6 months. That's what the 6 is for. So the 7 is 7 years, the 6 is 6 months, and it starts at 2.125. It would allow you to buy more home. You could, instead of a $615 purchase price, now we're at a $630 purchase price for roughly the same payment. This would be about a $2,800 payment, and you've got $111,000 out of pocket. Over here is a $630 purchase price. Again, it's a 7/6 arm, 15% down, but you've got a 2.75% rate. That's going to give you a payment around $3,057, and your closing costs are going to be less here, so you're about $8,000 less. It puts you around $104, so you'd have about $104,000 out of pocket here. Now, how much income does it? Oh, let me show you some other charts real quick. This is just a chart showing you the differences in the payments, which has got the lowest, which has got the highest. This is a chart showing you your savings over the next 3 years. You said you might be in the home 2 to 3 years, so I just put 3 years in here and shows you your savings over 3 years, which loan is going to cost you the most and which loan is going to cost you the least, and that's taking into account your interest and your closing costs as well. Now, this one here is your net worth in 5 years. Now, you might own the property in 5, you may not own the property in 5. But if you held on to it for 5 years, this would estimate that your net worth could have gone up anywhere from $284,000 to $298,000. So your net worth is basically the value of all your assets minus all your debt obligation, and then whatever's left over is your net worth. Some people have a negative net worth. That's very common in the beginning of life, especially adult life. And then as you get older and you acquire real estate, usually when a person acquires their first piece of real estate is when it really, boosts their net worth. So this is a great way to boost your net worth, and this would takes into account appreciation. Typically your home appreciates over time. It doesn't go down in value like a car or a bicycle usually does, but it goes up in value. So this is taking into account some appreciation, and then also the fact that you'd be paying off the loan. So this is the net worth. Now let me tell you or show you how much income it would take to qualify for something like this. All right, Daisy, since we're looking at conforming loans, we want to look at the maximum DTI, or debt to income ratio, for conforming, and that's 50%. So what that means is we take your housing expense, so that's the new housing payment that's being proposed. We take that housing expense, we'd add in all your minimum monthly payments that show up on a credit report, so like car payment, auto lease, credit cards, student loans, installment loans, things like that. What's not on the credit report, it's going to be cell phone, utilities, insurance, stuff like that. So your maximum debt to income is 50%. We put all those debts and your housing over the top of the division, and then we divide it by your gross income. That's your income before taxes and deductions come out. If you had zero debt, you'd need $72,000 in income to qualify for this. If you had $500 a month in debt, you'd need $84,000 to qualify. And then if you had $1,000 a month in debt, you'd need $96,000 to qualify. So you can see where the differences come in. Once you start having some debt, it requires that you have more income. Now, if you still want to buy the home and you don't have this much income, we can put a co-borrower onto your loan. There's a lot of different acceptable co-borrowers, and they don't have to live in the home. They can just be on the loan. But if you were just doing this yourself, this gives you an idea of how much income that you would need. And then you mentioned student loans. Here's what the student loans look like included in your debt ratio. Even if they're in forbearance or deferment, what we've got to do is include them if there's less than 10 payments, or if there's 10 payments or less remaining, we can exclude them. But if there's 11 payments or more, and we're going with a Fannie or Freddie loan, then we can have to include it if it's 11 or more. Now, FHA is a little different. It's 9 months or less. And then if the loans are deferred or in forbearance, we take a 0.5%, multiply it times your balance. And that's what we use for FHA and for Freddie. And then for Fannie, they require 1%. So a lot of times when we have somebody going conforming and they've got student loans that are in forbearance or they're in deferment, we're going to take them over to a Freddie Mac loan instead of Fannie Mae because it's going to give us lower debt to income ratio, and it's going to make the underwriting go smoother. So that's a little bit about student loans. I mentioned county loan limits earlier. Here's some links to the county limits. You can look and see the differences from county to county, from program to program, conforming to FHA. And then also you can see the differences for a single family home compared to a duplex, triplex, quadplex, etc. Now, if you're all ready to buy and you got a house that you want to go see that's up for sale, you can just text the address over to our office and we can schedule a showing for you. Or if you want to get pre-approved, you can get a buying power pre-approval from us. The link is also in the description here in YouTube. And then the last thing is if you're not ready to buy and you're still just gathering information at this point, please keep coming back to our website, showcaseagency.com. We're constantly adding new content for first-time home buyers, and we also add content for homeowners so you can see what it's going to be like to be in that new home. And so you can visit our website. If you have a question about real estate or home loans, you can just text it to our office, and one of our licensed experts will get back to you as soon as possible. So I hope you found this helpful. Again, my name's Brian. I'm with Showcase Agency. And if you've got any questions, reach out. If you want to put some comments below, that'd be cool. And Daisy, hope you have an awesome day. All right, take care.